Hey everyone, you are tuned into Faces of the District. We're here at Van Aken District, and today, AO. AO is a co-working space here at the Van Aken District. You can get a gallery membership, or you can actually get a private office like we have the Hey Now podcast. They have so many great things to offer here. There's a gym, there is snacks, there's all sorts of stuff. You'll hear about it from the guests. We had Mireille here. She is a member here. She has her own private office, and we had a lovely conversation. And we also spoke with Chantel. She is one of two member ambassadors here at AO, and she knows all the ins and outs. She was actually here before the current owners, so she walked us through kind of the changes, all the great things that have been implemented, and just how exciting of a place it is to be. And let me tell you, I can attest, we have our offices here. We've had a membership for the last 2 years, and now we have our own private office. So check it out, AO, at the Van Aken District, Shaker Heights, and we'll check you later.
My name is Mireille Caius, and I am the owner of Cass Consulting and Coaching.
And what do you guys do?
We work with strategic planning, mostly for nonprofits and small businesses, and we work with leadership development as well, with an overhaul of fiduciary and legal responsibilities, and then even executive coaching for their leadership teams.
Wow. Very cool. How did you get into that?
I would like to say accidentally, but it's kind of something that's been building over time. So I've always been in sort of C-suite roles at different nonprofits over the course of the last 19 years in the Cleveland community. And just short of the pandemic, I was asked by a friend to join his consulting company.
Oh, wow.
And then I ended up taking over a couple years in as he sort of moved abroad.
Mm-hmm. And within the company, what brings you to a space like AO?
I think some of it is the disconnect that you feel a little bit zooming from home or from coffee shops or conference rooms in other people's offices. So a lot of the times we work out of our client offices.
Right.
I was looking for that unifying space where I could sort of greet guests outside of my home or outside of their offices, in addition to coworkers that work abroad or locally, but a little bit further away from Shaker.
Sure.
Yeah.
Very cool. And is your clientele still primarily nonprofit, or is it just kind of across the board at this point?
It's primarily nonprofit.
Okay.
We're about to embark with a new client who is not a nonprofit.
Okay.
So we're expanding our horizons a little bit. But yeah, the last sort of 12 clients we've worked with are nonprofits in the Cleveland community.
That's awesome. What do you love about nonprofit work?
You know what's fascinating is that, so I'm originally from Sweden, and we don't actually have nonprofits in our community. There are a couple, but the setup is a little different because a lot of organizations that would require nonprofit in the States are federally funded back home. And so for me, it's always been kind of this broader socio-anthropological study in how America is set up. So that's always fascinated me, just kind of how the neediest populations are served and helped, and where emergency funding comes in, or where people can collectively have an impact with mass quantities of volunteers, for example, funding through foundations. I mean, it's this whole production, as to how you get from A to Z. So I think the process is fascinating for me. And then I just love to see the impact grow of the clients we serve. Yeah,
it's really interesting. I just actually this morning was at a nonprofit board meeting, and just from an entrepreneur sort of business owner standpoint, where you have a product and a very good product, and the market has validated it, and now you sell it. And as long as you could get it out there and sell it and make money and find people to give you money in exchange for the good or service, like, we're in business. But just the conversations we're having in nonprofit around the impact and how to bring some of these communities you're mentioning sort of into the fold, and what does that cost? And now we're talking about fundraising and like, what is the mission and who's it targeting? It's just like really complex, and there's 20 people at the table, and it's like really fascinating to see. And it's just reminding me of kind of what you're saying, where there's way more to it, and it's kind of what else is involved in this society other than the sort of capitalistic approach, which is really interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting. It's a fascinating thing to witness. Mm-hmm. And I think I've gotten to know so many people that are passionate about different nonprofits, and seeing them bring their skill sets to the table, or even just their heart, is such a beautiful thing to watch. So
sure.
I feel very fortunate.
That's awesome. And here at AO, do you feel like you ever have the chance to connect with people, and is there a sense of community that you have here as well?
Absolutely. It might be premature because I'm 6 months in, but it kind of feels like my family away from home a little bit.
Sure.
Where I would say, in addition to the kind of Scandinavian appeal of the location, which makes me feel at home naturally, everybody here is so kind. Lots of people have a great sense of humor. Everybody's eager to help. All the benefits of working here, in terms of you can get your mail sent here, you can have your guests greeted, you have printing, snacks up to your eyeballs and then some. All of those perks are fabulous, but it's just easy. Yeah. It's easy. It's very welcoming. The space itself is extremely inviting. I live in Shaker, so I can walk or bike to work, unless I need to pick up my kids from school. Yep. But it's just the benefits are, there's an abundance of benefits, and it feels really warm and friendly and welcoming in every way.
Very cool. Yeah, I noticed the snacks are always a topic because I have kids as well. And we live down the street. And so the biggest highlight of this is, I remember two things. One was I changed my home address to this office, and I was like, oh, this is awesome. And I mean, we've been in business for 13 years, we're very well established, and I'm still through the pandemic, it's I'm getting everything sent to my house, and I'm like, oh, I'm putting a Shaker Van Aken district address on things now, and it's not my house, and I feel so much better about things. But then it's the snacks. And it's my kids come up here, and it's always who could run up there and get the fruit snacks first. Today I saw there's Pocky, which is a Japanese treat. It's dipped in chocolate. Yeah. Right. I'm just I can't take them. Someone's going to come here and grab those. They're so good. But that's really awesome that you've sort of found that. And, I always am disappointed when I can't walk here or bike or, get here without my car, because I do have to get the kids after this and all of that. Because it feels like part of the community, because I live here and now I work here as well. So it's kind of cool to experience that and, share that similar thing going on.
Yeah, very much so.
Right.
You described it well. And I'll even add to the fact that we've gone out for ice cream and still come in for post ice cream snacks, because the selection's so appealing.
That's what we do too. Yeah. And it's almost like a thing where it's oh, let's just go raid Dad's office. And not even they just kind of sit here, they'll play with the mics and just run to the snack thing, and then we leave. And it's just cool to connect that to my work, because I work from home usually, and you just sit there alone, and there is that disconnect you're talking about, where it's just
well, it's like me and the dog in the washing machine, and you're kind of I need an environmental change, and you're on Zoom for countless hours a day or on the conference call. And so it's just nice to have, we're social species, right? Yeah. And it just feels good to be surrounded by people and breathing plants and kind of just life.
Yeah, I got these plants at Stump right here. So
that's what I heard. I asked Chantel.
Stump. Very cheap, 10% off.
Chantel was letting me know that all the plants in here, the gorgeous setup. It looks so beautiful.
Yeah, it's really convenient. I kind of have everything I need just in this space, Van Aken district, that is, to set up the office. We just kind of showed up and everything was here for us, ready to go.
Yeah.
So I know you have a conference to get to. tell me just a little bit about you're using the conference room. Like, how's that work out for you? And, what is that like?
Sure. No, so I had a really great experience this past Friday. So we had some coworkers Zoom in from Chicago. In addition to CAS Consulting and Coaching, I'm the executive director of the Swedish American Chamber of Commerce.
Oh, cool.
As well. So that's really cool. So I kind of serve dual purposes out of this office. And so my colleagues from the chamber came in for a board meeting.
Oh, wow.
And we had people Zoom in from Chicago. And I was really keen to use the TV and the cameras in the conference room so that we didn't all have to huddle around a screen or everybody sit on their individual screens, but rather have the person from Chicago kind of just see us all sitting in the conference room.
Right.
And so we got help from the IT manager and we got help from Chantel, and everybody was so committed to making me succeed in this board meeting. So they took their time out of their Thursday and their Friday to sort of troubleshoot, because I had I had an iPad at the time and it wasn't able to connect because it's not on the Wi-Fi, X, Y, and Z. But that's just a long-winded way of saying that the dedication was unbelievable.
Right.
And they really
it's almost like your own little team.
Yeah, I had my own little troubleshooting team, and they sorted me out. The meeting was a success. And I use the conference room avidly. My office is a little bit smaller than yours. It's a little snug.
Sure.
So even then, when I don't have sort of tightly knit
it's nice to spread out.
Yeah, spread out and just use the long table. And sometimes colleagues come in and we sit in there and drink coffee and you can chit chat. So they're very welcoming and easy to use.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
And it's got to feel cool to bring someone from Chicago or different places to a place like the Van Aken District and AO, where it's like, it's a really nice place.
Yeah. So actually, one of the people from Chicago is here today.
Oh, nice.
And so he's like, wow, this place is so much more fabulous in person or like live. Yeah. And he's like, I want to work from here when I come to Cleveland. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
Anytime.
Yeah.
Well, very cool. I'll let you get to your conference.
Thank you.
Thanks for taking the time. I know we kind of just sat down and started talking, but this was great.
My pleasure.
Yeah.
And thanks for your curiosity around my business and why I'm here.
Sure.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure we'll see you by the snack bar.
Indeed. You can bet on it.
Very cool.
Thanks.
Awesome.
Hi, my name is Chantel, and I am a hospitality ambassador here at AO.
Thank you so much for doing this. I'm really excited because I've known you for a while, but we've never actually spoken in more depth or detail than like, hey, can you do this or that? You always kind of save me when I need something printed within like a minute. Thanks. I guess tell me just a little bit about yourself. Before you were here at AO, what were you doing? What's your background?
So before I was here at AO, I worked at an interior design firm called Reflections Interior Design. And I worked along with Marcita, or Marissa, I'm sorry. And she had a wonderful firm. I loved it. She actually has expanded to Oakwood.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, she really is loving that location. But I did that for about 3 years. I did procurement for her, working with, invoices and vendors and custom-made furniture and just making sure, that those orders got placed correctly to spec so that we had no issues when the customer received their furniture piece.
Right.
But that opportunity was really, really nice, but just wasn't the best fit for me. I feel like when I found AO at the time, it was in the transition of becoming now owned by RMS. It was owned by the previous owner's beauty shop. And I was looking for something, a little bit more flexibility with my schedule. So I reached out to the owner, and he responded and said, I don't have a hiring sign up, but I am willing to, consider, because there were some changes being made at that time.
That's awesome.
So I waited, applying to other places, but maybe 3 months later, he reached back out and was like, hey, I want to invite you for an interview.
Right.
So.
And was this the previous owner of?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, beauty shop.
What was like, I guess what's different about, I don't know, different or Like, what are some of the changes just with the new ownership, and kind of like, what's that transition been like?
So the transition has been wonderful. Actually, working alongside with Jesse and Ann, really getting some organization to the way the AO is run.
Right.
Coming into Beauty Shop, we definitely seen some areas where we could, improve and make things a little bit more systematic. Right. Creating a process. Not that there wasn't one before, but it just needed cleaned up.
Sure. And what's something that's exciting about where it is now, knowing where it was several years ago?
Yeah. One of the things that's exciting because the process is easier for members to come in. When they come in, it's either you want a private office or you want to become a gallery member. It's clear cut. There's no confusion.
Right.
So that they can easily get signed up same day.
Right.
No.
I think we did.
Yeah.
We did that here in this office.
Exactly. No waiting around. You can walk in and get you a private office. And that's a nice thing. Right. Because for you to be a small business owner and you want a space to be able to set up shop for you and your team, to do it same day is amazing.
Right. Yeah, that's so cool. I remember I saw this, I said, oh, I want it. And I talked to Jesse, and literally that day from my house where I'm working, we got everything taken care of. And I came here literally that day and started like moving things around and seeing what it could be.
Exactly.
And it's great. Now our staff comes here. It's a really cool place to be.
Yes.
I guess, what's something that you enjoy most about the community here at AO?
I love the community because there are members here that you see every day that always are so kind, very welcoming, even to the point of where when you see them, you want to give them a hug,
right? Just
because they're warm.
Right.
And seeing those familiar faces every day is definitely a perk to working here.
Sure.
And it makes the more challenging times better.
And what's your favorite thing at Van Aken District?
To eat.
Let me start that over. You can cut that out, Jaffe. Guys, I don't always screw up, but no, I guess before we get into the food, because I'm going to ask that too, for sure. But what is your favorite thing about the district itself?
I like the district because even though I work here, I also have fun here.
Right.
So that means like I work here during the week, but me and my husband oftentimes will come up and go to Mitchell's.
Right.
And I'm in the same type of work environment, but it doesn't feel like, I'm at work. Like,
Well, right.
Yeah.
Sure.
So it's part of the community. So you will come here, but I also work here, which makes it nice.
Yeah, that's so interesting. I remember seeing you at Paloma. And, I live in the community. I work here. And I also enjoy the entertainment, the food, and all that stuff. And it's like, you would think I'm sick of coming here.
Exactly.
You're here 3 days a week for sure.
Yes.
I'm here 3 days a week at least. And then it's like my kids are like, oh, let's go to Van Aken. I'm just like okay, I think, you know what? Paloma sounds really good. Why don't I grab Paloma? You go play on the Rock. So getting into the food stuff, what is your favorite spot?
Okay, it's hard.
It is. It's getting harder too.
Yeah, I love Brassica. I love Brassica. I'll find myself going there often. Get a hummus plate.
Yeah.
And I also love North Star, but I probably will usually go there with someone.
Sure.
To eat. My husband or a friend will go to North Star. And their pancakes are amazing.
Okay. That's such a good point. I've never thought of North Star as a breakfast spot. I know Paloma has a great brunch. There's just so many options. And like you're kind of alluding to with you're by yourself, so I'm going to go to Ninja City, or I'm going to go to Banter or Brassica, but now I want to entertain someone, or I want to go on a date, or whatever it is. It seems like there's something here, and I'm biased because I live in the community. So for me, I want more and more of that because it's like the less I have to go further away. Travel. It's like, oh, where do you guys want to go? Yeah. And you get your friends who are like, let's go to Van Aken District, and they're coming from really far, and you're like, just tell me when you get there.
Just tell me. I'm coming up the street.
I'll be there. And so it's really cool, and it's really exciting to see that.
Yeah.
So I guess what are some of the challenges that you face here at AO, at the Van Aken District?
At AO? I guess you always have the challenge of because you work with the members and you're here all the time, you find that, there's different personalities.
Yeah.
So you got to kind of, learn to navigate those personalities. Some you like, some you're just like trying to get around,
Sure.
But it's okay.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, I figure if you offer good hospitality and good services, then that's your goal. That's your goal, is just to provide a good work atmosphere for people.
Right. Is there anything that you feel like you'd want people to know about AO?
About AO. It's a nice place to come and work. If you want to get out your house, if you work remotely and you're just sick of your own four walls,
Right.
come work in AO's four walls.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
You're
I
welcome.
really appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right.